This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 5th of April, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines. The Star, UHURU to remove CSs charged with graft. The Standard, my hands are tied. And Daily Nation, graft, UHURU plays it safe on cabinet purge. Yeah.
Whoa.
It appears that it's just the state of the nation,
Yeah, that's very true.
rice over.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
My first question, did UHURU actually say, my hands are tied?
Nope.
No, he didn't actually say my hands are tied, and he didn't actually say he would remove CSs charged with graft. He
Yeah,
said
so
that if you are charged, then you step aside and the process takes its course.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of innuendo in the headlines.
Yeah,
They're
very
trying
true.
to get us to believe, take what he said, twist it just a little bit to up our emotions.
Yeah.
You'd think the president was going to read the media's agenda
Oh, he definitely was.
Yeah.
or,
We were being
or the
primed.
state of the
But
media.
before we discuss the agenda of the media,
Yeah.
I think we need to congratulate the president on a very job well done yesterday. I think he got two things
Yeah.
done very well.
Yeah.
First thing, he got the opposition in the House, right?
Yes, the
There was-
opposition was present in the speaker's gallery.
Yes.
They were recognized by the speaker,
Yeah.
and they were together in their thinking, at
Yeah.
least,
Yeah.
that he presented before us.
But clever Uhuru, he just wanted them to know he's head of state, so he wanted them to see him reading
Oh yes, it was my government.
and recognize who
Commander in chief.
is boss.
Yeah. And the second thing, which
Yeah.
is a fantastic thing the president did,
Yeah.
is that he did not fall prey to the temptation of the media.
It's true. We fell prey to it. I have to admit. Today I'm joining you too, and I won't leave you hanging by yourself. We were primed by the
You
media.
never
Yeah.
have left me hanging by myself, have you?
We were primed by the media, and the president was being pushed into a corner and
Yeah.
we were told it's your final bullet, your last chance, speak about corruption, and he didn't
didn't
take
bite.
the bait.
Yep. Yep.
So for that, we have to congratulate you, Mr. President. You are the head of our state, and we are behind you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take us where you want to lead us.
But then again, I want to bash these guys.
Who's these? The media?
The media.
Okay.
Right? They have made this country like the Coliseum. You know the
Did
one?
they really?
Yes.
There, I have to take you back a little bit. I think
Why?
that after saying that the president did a wonderful job yesterday, he does take a bit of the blame for the construction of the Coliseum.
And that's where I was going. You see, in the Coliseum, you have gladiators, and they're watched by a crowd of people.
Had.
Yes,
They
then,
had.
But let's reconstruct it now as we
Okay.
see it.
Okay.
Right? You have gladiators with pangas and swords, and they're,
And it's a fight to the death.
It's a fight to the death. Now, what the crowd does is the crowd cheers the
Yeah.
gladiators as they kill each other. All right?
That was their
Yeah.
TV. It was prime
Their
time.
entertainment. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the media has made the public bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
That the more people...
Just the media.
Actually,
in 2015,
I'm
our
coming-
first set of
I'm-
gladiators
and-
was thrown in the ring and told,
And I'm
square
coming,
it out.
and I'm coming to that. But the media has made us bloodthirsty. All right? You put a headline down there and you say 9 billion stolen from NYS, right? And then
CSS to be fired.
CSS to be fired.
Yeah.
And then the charge sheet reads 400 million shillings, all right? So you ask yourself, where is the 8.6 billion shillings?
In someone's
Very,
pocket.
very true.
But that's not the point. But on this, I actually blame the president as well, because there's no way the media would continue printing all these headlines without someone aiding them. You see, the fight against the corruption by the top is well intended, yes. But what we are seeing now is a boomerang effect on the president. And that's why he's retreated and said that the fight against corruption will not be fought in the court of public opinion,
But in the
within
court of law.
the
But is
rule
that
of law.
but is that a retreat? I think it's incorrect to say it's a retreat, because then you're continuing the same, narrative that the president played it safe, like the nation is saying. I don't think he played it safe.
No. The narrative of the media and what I'm saying completely different. In fact, I actually thank the president for going for the first time against the grain and standing up to the media.
Yeah.
And that, I'll repeat it again. The president was not going to read the state of the media. He was going to read the State of the Nation address. So there are so many other things, and there's so many things the president has done for this country. Let's cut this thing about corruption.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the most important things that we haven't talked about is the State of the Nation was a 1 hour long address, right?
Yes, it was.
And the media has made us believe that the entire 1 hour was comprised of the president talking about corruption.
And BBI.
And yet it came at the tail end. He did not spend that much time discussing it.
Yeah.
The whole point of the State of the Nation is tell us his progress on international obligations and on his achieving our national values. Reports that he presents to Parliament constitutionally.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that any media house tried to look at what he said, because there are other important things that he said that show how far we've gone as a nation.
Exactly.
In the past.
The growth of the economy, that inflation rates have reduced. These are important things.
Inflation is at 4%.
It's fantastic.
If you go back in time to when Moi was leaving power, please kindly remind us what the inflation rate was.
It's double digits, I think. It's about, is it 20%?
Yeah, it was over 20%.
Over 20%.
And through the Kibaki administration, now to the Uhuru administration, they've been working consistently to bring it down to an acceptable number. When we moved from 10 to 9, that was a big deal. Now, if you are under 5, I think that should be a big deal.
I think the point here is that the media, the fourth estate, is manufacturing a false consciousness, for the people. They are making us believe that we are in a worse state than we actually are.
That's actually true.
You see, I actually think if the media really wants the president to address corruption, they should apply to be his speech writers. Then they write so and so.
But here's the thing, the media is also not to blame alone. We have to agree that within even State House itself and in the entire communication of the government, there is no unified approach as to how they will present their achievements to the public. So they also focused on corruption. They were also primed by the media to use corruption as a standard by which to measure themselves, their own progress.
Absolutely. And the biggest gladiators in Uhuru Kenyatta's Coliseum is Haji, it is Kinoti, who's the other one? I think primarily those two.
And the judiciary, if you push it, because even after the speech, Raila said that now the judiciary also has to step up and hold to their party.
And I think the state should rein in this man called Kinoti. They should stop everything from being leaked to the public. Because the moment the public reads this, you read 65, people think actually in this dam scandal, 65 billion shillings was stolen.
It's missing, that's actually not true. That's the total cost of the dams.
And then they say 21 billion shillings is stolen. It is not true. All right? So I think there should be a reining in of government investigative agencies, because at the end of the day, the man who's going to fall on the sword is Uhuru Kenyatta if these things continue.
So what do we think about these
before
headlines?
you say what you think about the headlines, let us bring us back to our criteria. We've given our emotions and our thoughts. Now let us ground ourselves in logic. We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We'll ask ourselves, are these 3 combined headlines topical? Or are they speculative? Are they repetitive? Or are they groundbreaking? And finally, are they effective or just plain lazy? So, I say they're topical.
Most definitely.
The State of the Nation happened yesterday. They had no choice but to speak about it. If we thought there'd be anything else on the headline, that media house would be wanting. They are not repetitive.
No.
Well, unless we're saying that they're repeating each other's things.
Not repetitive.
But you could say they're repetitive. They're still speaking about corruption. We've been speaking about corruption for the past 2
very true, I think they missed the point.
So they missed the point of the State of the Nation address. It was a progress report,
Yes.
couched in political language.
Yes.
I see no progress. I see an agenda, in fact.
Most definitely. These are lazy headlines.
If I could hazard, I don't think that we have mass media. I think we have interest media. The media in our country is pushing the interests of their owners and their payers, whoever pays the media.
I think it's obvious we're going to toss all 3, right?
But let me also say it this way. I think on your criteria, they're thoughtful and also very effective.
Are they thoughtful?
Yes, they're very thoughtful. Let me explain. And I'll explain it using...
Thoughtful for who?
Can you wait? They are thoughtful because of this. You see, these headlines have an owner.
Yes, the interest.
And that's why they're interest. All right? So for them to have a theme that continues all through, it means there's an agenda. And if there's an agenda, all right, it means because the public has taken so much into this corruption narrative, everyone is asking, why didn't Uhuru fire someone? Why didn't Uhuru do this? It is because the media has succeeded
So
in taking this narrative to the people. And that's why it is effective.
I'd like to say yes, they're effective in pushing the political interests for which they've been paid to push.
For themselves.
But they're not effective in lifting our veil of ignorance
I agree.
as the
I agree.
public.
I agree.
And for that reason,
Yes.
as a media police post,
Yes.
when you check the
Absolutely.
media,
There I
they
agree.
fail. They
have
I
failed.
agree. But that's why I said uplift.
Papers, please. Thank you and goodbye.
See you.
On to our next criteria, the political opinions that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or just plain
Lazy.
Yep. I would suggest that we start with the star while we're still on the
Okay.
conversation on the state of the nation.
Oh yes, that is true.
Yeah.
It's the only one that addresses itself to the topical state of the nation.
So
address.
today, Ozone, he has a caricature of President Uhuru Kenyatta giving the State of the Nation address.
Yeah.
And in his hands, he has 4 heads he is holding. Who are these 4 people?
Kalonzo Musyoka of caricature of Kalonzo Musyoka, caricature of Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi, and Moses Wetangula.
And, and then hiding behind the podium, crying, is who would appear to be DP Ruto. I think, okay, upon first glance, I think this is a funny cartoon.
Upon first glance.
But as we had our discussion earlier, we kept asking ourselves, so what do these heads
mean?
what do they represent?
Puppets? Are they
Yeah,
trophies?
trophy. There's too much.
I don't know, or maybe they're meant to be both. It depends on how you view it. You view it as a unity of purpose in that he represents their interests, so he has them as trophies, or that he's puppeteering them.
Yeah, is it a manufactured unity of purpose? Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think by the time you have to over-dissect a cartoon, then it's missed the point of it being a visual representation of...
I think it misses the effectiveness part.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of effectiveness is that I look at it and I understand
and you get
the message that you are trying to portray as quickly and as easily as possible.
It's not that it's a bad cartoon. I think it's good.
I think it's good, but to me what it tells me is that President Uhuru has a tough balancing act. There are people he has to appease.
Oh yeah, I like that.
That's also
I like that, yeah.
He has to appease the opposition, he has to appease his deputy. At the same time, he has to appease the media,
Yeah.
the
But
public.
also, the deputy does not feature in this state of the nation. This unity of purpose excludes him.
Maybe he's
in that
being
unity.
balanced by Uhuru's leg.
Behind our line of vision. Can we put it in the parking bay? Let's see what
Yeah,
else
very
it's
well.
up against. Let's go to the standard and see what Gado has for us today. Bearing in mind he had the cartoon of the year yesterday.
Yeah. So I think this cartoon is late.
Oh yes, yesterday Ozone had a similar cartoon
Yeah,
where he had
referred to
Bouteflika
Bouteflika
as well, on a wheelchair as well, but coming off of another wheelchair
Yeah.
known as the country, the
And I
limping country
I think
of
if you were to
Algeria.
compare Ozone's of yesterday to Gado's of today, Ozone's was superior. In
I agree.
critique, and in the messaging.
I agree.
I don't understand. So he's rolling down
the hill.
a hill.
He's gone over the hill.
But he's
I
leaping.
guess over the
I
hill.
don't-
He's.
Is the hill
guess.
Algeria? I don't understand.
I think it's both Algeria and age-wise.
Yeah, I think we toss this one. Especially with what Gado presented yesterday. He has a tall order. So, all right, now the nation. Who is this?
You know,
Monene,
Monene. I agree with Monene today.
that we have an elephant called national debt.
Yes, and
Forgetting what 2J just gave us about manufactured consciousness and our perception of things being worse than they actually are.
no.
So we have a whole elephant.
We've given Uhuru so much credit, but I think as much as he admitted, and I think he probably should do this, I think it is time we admit that our national debt is going south. When you're projected to have 64% of debt to GDP in a year's time, that to me does not sound good.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
it's
if you
also-
look,
I don't know.
local debt has doubled
Yes.
in 1 year.
Yeah, I mean...
It's alarming.
Yeah, you know, and you see this elephant is standing on people.
Yeah, the everyday person.
Meaning, should it step one more step on a weak person, country collapses.
Yeah. I think it's a good cartoon. I do.
I think
Yes, Miss K, I know you're going to say it's pessimistic.
It's highly
I
pessimistic.
can feel your...
You can feel my
Your
disappointment
stresses,
and
yeah.
my weights and my sighs and
Yeah.
my groans.
But I think it's like I asked this yesterday.
Yeah.
I think about Munene's cartoon as well. Is this an accurate reflection of the state of the nation?
It's an accurate reflection of our perception of the state of the nation. Gosh, so many words.
Yeah. So you do not feel the burden of debt.
I feel like we need to look at everything in context. On one hand, we have just lauded the president for bringing inflation down to a single-digit number that's below 5.
True.
On the other hand, we're saying that our national debt is so high that it is weighing on us as a Kenyan public and making us look at these guys. They're suffering. They have tattered clothes. They're holding the full weight of the elephant, while you have the president and the deputy president
Chilling.
living it up
Yeah.
on top of the elephant like some Indians. No, please.
Let me tell you.
let's
Let me
pick
tell you.
one.
No. I think this is real, and in a couple of years, if we don't do anything,
Our inflation rate will double.
forget even inflation.
Our national psyche will crumble, and we will die.
Forget.
I mean, I agree with both of you. On one hand, the pessimism is a bit over the top, but on the other hand, we need to address the realities of.
I mean, yes, and let
So
me
what
tell
do
you.
we say?
All right, I think
Before we go, Uhuru has this thing where he keeps saying we have a huge infrastructure deficit, and you know what? I agree with him. But at the same time, I do think that too much debt intake to create infrastructure within such a short time
It's not worth it.
could really take this nation down a path that we don't want to. We could go the Greece way. I prefer a situation where we probably even reduce the size of government, and with some time we'll be able to reach where we want to reach. But as
Alright.
of now, this is an
Okay,
So then,
unsustainable.
can we say?
2M, when you're president, you can do all those things, yeah?
Can we
I
say?
will.
Can we
From your mouth to God's ears.
All right.
Can we then say that this cartoon is effective,
Yeah.
Yes.
but pessimistic?
Yes.
And I don't think we've weighted our criteria, so I don't know what outweighs what.
Let me
But,
ask you.
and it's not humorous,
can we-
so then
can
it
we-
becomes dry.
Can we compare it?
What's a divide between pessimism and reality?
What do you?
Because you could be in a real situation and it could be
That's why I'm
sad.
using all three criteria. So it's not humorous, it's not funny.
It's nothing
No,
to
it's
laugh
not
about.
funny.
Is it dry?
Yes, but dry is not bad.
Sometimes you can have dry humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it's definitely not satirical. It's pessimistic.
You guys, can we stop debating and just toss it?
Sorry, Manana. I tried. Even though
Is this our winning cartoon?
Nah.
I would agree. I do
but
not.
no, it's not.
No,
It's not.
it is not.
See, we saw them yesterday. What new thing do you want to see?
Okay.
Yes. Very well.
We do not have a winning cartoon today. But do we have a final thought?
Oh yes. The US has actually cancelled the visa of Fatou Bensouda, the ICC prosecutor,
Yeah.
from
entering the US.
From entering the US, and this is because she was investigating US soldier activity in Afghanistan. Now, I say fantastic. And I think African countries should take upon that precedent.
Yeah.
Because last time Ocampo showed up here, he was
He
with
was
traditional
received with
dancers.
dancers,
He-
yeah.
he-
And Razmataz, enjoy.
He adopted a cheetah, for goodness sake.
But we have to note that the US is not a signatory to the ICC.
Oh,
Yeah, the
yes,
Rome
But
absolutely.
I think that tells us something.
Yeah.
By refusing to sign to it, they are alluding to its toothless nature, and we should see it for what it is, useless, and get out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And maybe it even signals the end of international court
Yeah,
systems
they're
or
relevant,
justice
yeah.
systems. You
Yeah.
have ICC, you have people going after ICJ. Who else? Who else are they going for? I don't know. But
Yeah.
this signals the end. When big powers are touched by these court institutions or international court systems, they start attacking them. And I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good thing. But biggest lesson to African countries, don't, when you see these...
Then pander to
Yeah,
them.
no,
This-
not at all.
Pander to
Yeah.
them.
I mean, the
Funny
biggest
people showing
criticism
up.
of these international courts is that they are constantly pursuing African leaders at
Yeah.
a disproportionate
Yes.
amount compared to other world leaders. So
Yeah.
I think we should get out.
Good on you,
Yeah.
US. And
Yeah.
this is Winning Headlines.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend. See you next week.